All right, here we go. Back again. By the way, there is no truth to the rumor that Ari Lamb pulled the plug on the audio. He doesn't like it when we do shows without him. And I think he got to Mayor Wiesel and maybe, played a little funny business. Again, we're on the eve, right, of Purim. So this is no surprise. That we're having.
Par for the course here.
Exactly. No surprise that we're doing this. I have no proof that this is accidental. So we'll see how this works out. But we have here the show that we want to have, which is Ofek Reef joining Yaakov Sachs and I, and we're going to talk Max basketball. We're going to talk about, I don't know, we may even get to some D1 basketball. Who knows? But we're just going to talk basketball. We're going to talk about life. We're going to hear about Ofek, and it's going to be awesome. I hope everyone enjoys it. Thank you for everyone having the patience and also sharing with us the audio difficulties so we can make that happen. Really appreciate that. And now we'll get right into it. We'll get right into it here on the pod. Ofek, thank you again. Sorry again for the technical difficulties. Our apologies.
No worries.
I know you're between study and hoops, so we will make it worth your while. We were actually jumping in. It was really cool. We were jumping in right to sort of. I think it's good to, if you don't mind starting again. But Yaakov was asking about how you got to, even if we go back, like many of us know, you played in Dallas, Texas, and how, like, what that was like sort of growing up, and how you got you mentioned started in public school, went over to Yeshiva High School. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I was saying before the audio cut out, I started in public school. I had a few injuries and just some stuff going on with the head coach at one of the schools. So I bounced around to, I think, 2 schools before I actually transferred to Yavna. And the coach at Yavna, actually, I've known him since I was 14 because he used to run Maccabi and all that. So, just having him there and helping me through the process of getting to Yavna. And, a lot of schools didn't want to take me for an extra year, right? Like, I had a 5th year eligibility in high school. So
you're a pro at this.
Yavna, yeah, Yavna really helped out, and they accepted me, and it was just that's how I ended up at Yavna.
Did you you mentioned they're coming on Sarachek next week. Were you guys in Sarachek when you were in school there?
No, unfortunately.
All right. So the first time you got to the YU gym was in YU then.
Yeah, it was actually it was on a visit my senior year.
Okay, so go through. I think this is the question that I get asked the most is, how did Ofek end up at YU? So tell us the story. Maybe it's a very short story, but it's one that people want the answer to.
So we got to take it back to Yavna, my junior year. We played in the Bet to Phil tournament, the Wiener tournament in Maryland, and Harold Katz, father of Donnie Katz, Ellie Katz.
We've heard of him.
Yeah, crazy man. Love him though. He actually was coming to watch. He came to watch to see if there's any solid players, recruits, and all that. So my junior year, he came up to me. He's like, "Oh, you should think about going to Yeshiva University." I'm like, "What is Yeshiva University?" Right? Like, I'm Israeli. Like, I know what a yeshiva is, but I didn't think there was a place called Yeshiva University. So I was just like, "Yeah, like, go away. Like, you're an old man, delusional, whatever." Come back my senior year. Had a few Division III offers. It was just like I was just all over the place. And he came back and he said, "You should look at Yeshiva University." So connected with coach. We spoke a little bit. I came on my visit. I came mid-December, snowing, was not enjoying myself. I'm from Texas. I had heat.
Yeah.
So I watched them kick Brooklyn College by 40 points, I think it was. And just watching them play, like, just the offense and how everything moved, just like I love playing in any kind of offense, but just knowing that you don't have to have the ball in order to score is something different, like, you don't see that a lot. So, spoke with coach, he told me, sat me down, he's like, "Listen, you can go to any other school, but what you're going to accomplish here, the minutes you're going to get as a freshman, and just everything he said sounded so genuine, and I believed it, and I came, and it just came into fruition, right? So, like, my 25 to 30 minutes as a freshman, that happened. Us winning conference my freshman year, that happened. Making it to the Sweet 16, that happened. And I knew we were gonna be good. I just didn't know how good we were gonna be, you know. And going on 50 games, that's nutty. Like it's not something you see. So I mean, coming in, I was like, it was between Yeshiva and Cornell College, not the Ivy. It's in Iowa. So it was really between those schools. And listen, like I wanted to be around Jews. I didn't want to be in the middle of Iowa without Jews there, you know.
So I mean, I'm sure there was a Chabad there, but we are very grateful that you chose YU and that YU chose you. Talk about a little bit, because you mentioned obviously the success, right, that you had freshman year. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe freshman, right, Skyline freshman of the year that year. So again, incredible success, or fan favorite right from the jump. And then you sort of cruise into this, you know, obviously the year, you know, ends abruptly, right? And then you have a shortened season next year. And now you come back to this year, right? You have the winning streak, but it's not to the point, obviously, I think it started 36 games or somewhere close to that. How did you start gelling? Like, how was it sort of getting, we haven't really talked about this in terms of, you had a lot of new personalities, right? People think about the streak and people think about 50, and I think, you know, obviously with Ethan, with, you know, a couple of the other guys we have, you know, with Jordan, with, you know, you have some new guys and also new roles. So how did that start the year, right? Sort of that start from practice. Like, how did you feel coming into the year?
So coming in, you know, we do our own thing because coach can't officially coach us till a certain date. So we'd run 5-on-5s, just try to get that chemistry before our first practice. But, you know, coming in, it felt weird, right? Like, you're used to, like, especially last year, right? We had 7 games, and it was those guys that we had, and we brought in some new guys. Some guys left. Some guys, like, it was just so much going on, and I don't want to say it was pressure from the win streak, but guys that weren't here through the whole thing, I don't think they understand. Like, I don't think they understood how hard it is to get to that point and what has to go into it. So the beginning of the year was kind of hectic, and, you know, practices were kind of weird, and everybody's just trying to figure out their role. And even looking back on the season, I don't think everyone found their role, right? Like, you go look at some games later in the season, you have guys who don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So, I mean, as a collective unit, I think we could have been better in chemistry wise and how we gel together. But, you know, I think the guys that we had on the floor at all times, where we had that chemistry, we just didn't know how to use it.
And you could tell the you know, again, there's the basketball side, right? But there's also the team and teammate side. And it just seemed like you guys, at least on the teammate side, that wasn't an issue, right? Like, people seem to, you know, gel, you know, personality wise, the joy of really watching you guys come out of the locker room almost every game, laughing and joking and having that. Did that, you know, did you expect this when you come in? Was that how playing always was, and it sort of was natural, or do you guys have to work to get there?
So, I mean, for me, it's always been natural, right? Like, especially with Ryan, Gabe, Eitan, and even my freshman year with Simcha Dani, it's just, I love putting myself out there, and if someone's willing to reciprocate that, then I'm all for it, right? So I try to make the best out of every situation. Like in the locker room, I'll go from Ryan to the last guy on the bench, and I try to make time for everyone. So I know them and they know me, and there's no issue there, right? Because if one doesn't get along with 16, now it's just, all right, if one doesn't get with 16, 2 doesn't get with 13, and there's just issues all over the board that way. So I just try to set an example in the locker room and say, guys, like, you don't have to go out just after 6 a.m. practice, go get breakfast with some guys, you know, sit down, talk, enjoy yourself, and then go to class. You know, class doesn't start till 9.
Is there a specific guy, or maybe you are that guy, who's sort of like the gel guy who hangs out, you know, the glue guy who hangs out with all the different crowds, or, you know, or there's a few of those?
So I'd say there's a few. I mean, I think everyone on the team tries their best to sit there and actually get along with one another. I mean, myself, you know, I think even on the court, I'm just a gel guy, you know, like, whatever. I'm a hothead, so sometimes I get out of it. I have Gabe there to control me. We'll figure out whose role that is next year. But, you know, Gabe's great at it. Ryan's also great at it. Oren, Matan. There's just everyone on the team just tries to get along with one another. So there's no because if there's an issue in the locker room, there's going to be an issue on the court.
No, it's absolutely. By the way, shouts to he probably didn't hear because of the audio, but shouts to Bob in the chat. I know that at the beginning of this, when we thought we had audio but didn't, and that's why you missed my amazing opening. No, I'm just kidding. I can't do Ari justice. But Ofek did you did comment that you've been watching some D3 and like the rest of Max Nation, were shattered when when Illinois Wesleyan went down this past Saturday night. So I know shouts to Bob and thank you for joining. But we were all with you, and Ofek definitely was watching and commenting about.
Bob knows. I sent him a picture when he was on at halftime. I sent him a picture.
By the way, that was great. We got Yeshua somehow finds its way into everything, but we got the conversation about Max Nation, pulling for the Titans during halftime. Thank you to Bob.
The question is, which team are we going to put our stink on this weekend?
Hey, listen,
because we're not having luck in our support this postseason.
See, I think I look at it and I say, you know what, every team that we rooted for has achieved wonderful, great things. Listen, there can only be one champion, which means that there are a lot of teams that are going to go home disappointed. And I want to get to this sort of as we round out on this season specifically. Talk to us about, and again, we try not to ask the hard questions. We want you to feel comfortable, but talk to us about the Johns Hopkins game, which turned out to be the last game, and then we'll get to some more of the current news. But talk to us about sort of how you were, what that game from your perspective, right? How it went, sort of how they seemed. We've talked now a couple times with Gabe, with Ryan, with others about they seem to be very committed, right? To be able to say, listen, we're gonna slough off. We're going to pack it in when it comes to Matan, and to a certain extent, we're going to pack it in tighter when it comes to Ofek. So to you, talk to us about how the game, what you were expecting going in versus what you got.
Yeah, so I mean, I still haven't watched that game. I just can't bring myself to do it, just because how I played and how we played. But I was expecting them to pack the paint. I just didn't know with who, whether it was Gabe, Matan. I've never seen someone pack the paint on me. So for me, that was just like, what am I supposed to do now, right? I don't want to force a shot 5 seconds into the shot clock. And even if I do shoot, I have to make him come respect me. But looking back on what could have happened with Matan, myself, and whoever else they packed the paint with, we could have just went and set a ball screen. Because if you're sitting in the paint like that, there's no hedge. The communication is going to be off, especially in the gym with our fans and their fans. So you got two great fan bases going at it. You got to be very loud to call it out. And you put Ryan in a situation in a screen with no hedge, no show. It's mid-range. If he goes under 3, there's so many different options out of it, which I think we could have done. That's just one adjustment I would have made. But it happens, right? I mean, we were going in. I think we were very confident going in, and just we did what we wanted to do with Delaney. We just didn't do what we wanted to do with everybody else.
Yeah, well, listen. Let's give credit where credit is due, right? Carson James played a ridiculous game that we talked about. I mean, not just and just clutch, right? And on both sides of the ball, right? It wasn't just his offense, but again, the way he manned up on Ryan was impressive, and the way he sort of was in it the whole time, especially with Delaney playing not one of his better games, at least on the offensive side, and with Quarry, right? Arguably their number 2 offensive player having to sit most of the game, right? So there was a lot going on there, and that's a team that's committed to defense, right? They are a defense first team.
Yeah.
So it's not just that they decided, hey, we're going to play them this way. Those are defensive minded guys, and it was, as a fan, there were so many great moments to look back on. I think we were all appreciative that it got back right as close as it was. And I want to ask you about that last play from your perspective, because you haven't watched the game, but a lot of us.
I have seen the last play though. I've
been watching it like the Zapruder film, watching from every angle, looking around to see sort of how this goes. I guess we use that line about the alley-oop because that was an unreal play too. Because whether it's Ryan sucking that in. But you've got Braden Johnson, who is totally eyes completely on Ryan. Did you see that when you made your cut, or were you cutting anyways, knowing there was going to be a shot and looking for a rebound? What was going through your head?
So I was going in with the intention of possibly getting a rebound, because that's the shot we wanted, right? We want the ball in Ryan's hands at the end of the game, end of the shot clock. Do I expect the pass? No, because I live with that shot. That's the shot he hits 90% of the time. Was it open? 100%. 100% was. I'm not crying about it because it's over. I didn't get the ball. Like it's over, right? So at a certain point, you just like, I probably had 20 people text me the same angle, same clip. Why didn't he pass you the ball? It's not that's not my answer. Like, I can't answer that because I'm not him. Did he miss me? Probably. The shot we want, 100%. What I toy around with him with, he double clutched. He says he gets fouled. He said he got fouled. I don't know if he did, but that's definitely the shot we wanted. And if he was making it, he made it, right? We win the game. Like, it's over. If it comes off to my side, it's a putback. So,
yeah, listen, my point on the whole thing has been the mental ability. Like, I just, to me, that's again another part of your game that I think gets under. I mean, again, we know you're the baseline slasher, and that's where you typically do a lot of your work. But I think the mental aspect, I think what I've been pointing out to everyone is, they got stuck ball watching. You saw a lot of our guys make the right play. Now the rebound just came, on the other side, right to a big man who's going to get that board every time. But the way the team played, knowing that it was great to watch, and it gives us excitement in terms of the type of ball next season. So first, we're gonna pause here because we want to talk a little bit about the news of the day. At least, for Max fans, the news of the day, we saw it. I don't know if you guys got an early heads up about sort of Ryan and his announcement, his declaration from the draft, but that was, after Tom Brady unretiring, this was the news of the day for sports fans across the tri-state area. So is that something sort of as a team you guys either knew or knew was coming or whatever it was, but like, we're able to celebrate him more less about finding out the information, but more just being able to continue the outpouring of support.
So I actually he texted me last night about it, and we texted back and forth. I'm very happy for him, whether he gets drafted, undrafted, or he plays overseas. Like, declaring for the draft is not. I mean, anybody can, but to do it from a Division III level and have the attention that he's got from Yeshiva University, which nobody would ever think a person would ever declare for the draft from here, is just amazing in general. So I'm very, very happy for him. That he's been my brother since day one. He's the first person who took me under his wing when I first got here, showed me classes, showed how to just survive YU, right? Like, not even the basketball part. And then once basketball started, he taught me the offense. He told me, you don't need to shoot, just cut. Just cut. Baseline cut, layup.
Do you have is there a specific gameplay memory that you have specifically towards him, where either you were involved or just in awe, or anything that sticks out in your mind as we echo his farewell Twitter post?
In awe, I'd probably say that alley-oop between him and Gabe. Gabe and him.
Taking the easy answer.
Well, when you're
the
on
most
the court,
obvious answer,
right?
Yeah.
Listen, I was on the sideline. I was getting some water. I was standing next to Yoni Cohen, and I just see Gabe throw the ball up. I was like,
I was gonna say, please don't tell me you were looking down. Please tell me you were.
I was watching the whole thing. I just couldn't see Ryan because everyone on the bench was standing up because we all thought Gabe was gonna dunk. I just see him go like that. I was like, I have water in my mouth. I see Ryan come out of nowhere, slam it down. Water goes everywhere.
The place was nuts. I know. Tell me that's we talked to Elliot, right, about sort of like, he wouldn't disclose what he whispered to Coach Joe at the time. But what was going on the bench? Like, with the team, we saw the fans, we saw rabbis falling off their bench seats on the other side of the court. The place was going nuts. What was happening on the bench?
It's the exact same thing. I mean, everybody was already up because it's rare to see Gabe dunk in a game. So we were going to get ready to go crazy anyways, like, it's a championship game. Gabe finally gets a dunk. But no, lob, Dwayne Wade to LeBron kind of stuff. Ryan Terrell comes in, yams it, and just I don't know who it was. I saw on the tape that someone was running up and down the bench. That's what I saw on the tape. I might be wrong, but it was nuts. Like the guys, we were all in shock. Like we didn't know what just happened.
I think. I mean, listen. I was in the opposite corner. I guess where Gabe came off, and the whole place. I mean, the whole stand. Like that was the loudest that I had heard the MC. On top of, I think what we all think was the best defensive performance I think we've ever seen a YU team put on. Again, you can go back years and years, not just this team, but that was one of the most locked down defensive performances we ever seen, and the place was at an all-time high, and they were just buzzing, and it was just growing and growing. So it was unreal to be a part of that, and I can't imagine that is a great memory to choose. Now you're thinking about next year, right? And you may not be thinking about next year yet, but what are some of the thoughts? Obviously, we talk about the motion offense and sort of what it sets up and how it sort of brings the action. How do you think about your role, right, going forward, and what you may need to do? Does that change, or does the offense basically set the parameters, and you just operate within that, and you're not thinking about or feeling? Obviously, you're going to be the you're the senior, quote unquote, obviously with another year of eligibility, as you mentioned. How do you think about next year in your role?
Listen, I could tell you that I'm going to be the number one option. I'm not, because that's not how the system works, right? It could be Oren who goes for 20. It could be Matan who goes for 20. Every night it changes, and I think that's the dynamic that's going to change the most with us next year, is that we're not going to have Ryan, All-American, and Ryan, possible NBA player, scoring 30, and then the next closest scorer is 16, 20 maybe, right? So I think the scoring is going to be more spread out to a certain extent, and it's going to be tougher for teams to guard, because now you're not worried about, okay, let's take, in the situation we had this year, let's take Eitan and Ryan out the game and let Gabe and Ofek do the work. And then if Eitan's out the game, let's take Ofek and Gabe out the game and just let Ryan do what he's going to do. So now you have 5 guys you have to worry about. I think that's the biggest difference we're going to have. I don't know who's coming in yet. I heard Samit, because I know you guys are hyped about it. I heard he's not coming. I heard he's doing Shnab Bet. Hopefully he comes mid-year. I don't know if he's decided yet. We'll see.
Does he know that the Vartora spot is open? Does he? I know that Gabe gave it to Matan already, but does he know that there's an opening? I feel like it's important in the recruiting path.
I think it's open. Listen, if Matan wants to take it, I'm all for it. I'm all for Matan taking that. But we'll see. I'm very excited. I think we have the guys to be a top 5, top 10 defensive team, just because we're not as big as we were this year, and we're not as talented. But you're not as talented, you have to work harder. So I think we have the guys for it, and I think it's going to be a fun year. I think we're going to make a deep run in the tournament. We just got to get these new guys under the belt and get them going.
What is your off season? What does your personal off season look like? And is there, as you unofficial team practices? How does that sort of work from the end of the school year and through the summer? What's your routine?
So it kind of changes for me. It kind of changes year to year based on what I want to work on. So this year, I'm just shooting the ball. I know I'm good in the paint. That I don't need to work on that. I'll probably put up some floaters. But it's just, for me, it's a lot of shooting. I'm trying to reserve the gym. It's kind of tough right now because volleyball, and then we got Sarachek next weekend.
Hey, volleyball's winning, right?
Yeah, volleyball's
Go Alone,
well.
baby.
Shout out to Alone. He's a killer on the volleyball court.
I gotta ask Moshe Kolat. Listen, on the basketball we call him the human victory cigar, but I don't know that that's the case when it comes to volleyball. He's the man when it comes to volleyball.
Yeah, he's the man on that team. That's his team. But I'm trying to get unofficial practices going. 5-on-5, just get a little pickup going. And then when I go back home, I play pickup with the guys who are in college. D3 to Division 1, we'll get overseas guys coming in. So the competition I play against over the summer, I prefer to just play and work on my game in pickup. And it's not pickups against 5'4", 5'5" kids. It's legit 6'7", 6'8", and putting up shots against 6'8" is going to make me better rather than just staying on the perimeter and just shooting set shots. It's going to help, but it's not going to get me to where I want to be.
Do you feel like, and I think this is both from, I don't think it's really about the Johns Hopkins game, and we talked about that, but do you feel like the perimeter shooting is an area of the game that you're going to spend a lot of time with, or do you feel like, listen, I don't want to get to I don't want to settle. That's not the flow of the offense necessarily. Like, do you have any sort of personal areas that you're going to take advantage of? And listen, the mid range seems like Ryan was one of the only people shooting mid range, right, during the season. It was either layups or threes. What are the areas that you want to consider? Knowing that you'll have to work maybe a little harder, like you said, to get your shots.
So I pulled it out one game, Old Westbury at home, a little mid range. I love the mid range. I don't think I need to work that much on it. And it's not just Johns Hopkins. I mean, I think I started the season at 36% from the arc and finished at 29. That's not where I want to be, right? I want to be 35 to 40. And now you have to decide, do we live with a three or do we live with him going to the rim, right? Either way, it's probably going to be a 3-point play because you're gonna have to foul him. So
the way you shoot foul shots, I was going to say, the way you shoot foul shots, right? Even if you get to the rim again, I think you finished close to 80%, and you were fantastic all season.
So I mean, I'm going to stick around to the 3-point line this offseason, just try to get that percentage up because I can. It's not that I can't shoot. I grew up a shooter. It's just I put on a lot of weight. I started attacking more, and I just kind of ran away from the 3-point line. So for me, it's just getting back there and getting that confidence.
And do the coaches give you, and maybe this already happened, but is that part of it where sort of the coaches also say, hey, we have the thoughts in terms of what we want to see or where we want you to play, or by the way, we're going to expand your role and you're going to be starting, we're going to go, hey, we're going to be smaller, so we're going to 5 out, or we're going 4-1. We're going to be thinking about different looks. Is that also part of, sort of the process here?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not really like 5 out. It's just, at the end of the year, we do end of season talks and what we want to do next year and how we look next year, right? Like for me, it's going to be work on your shot. Like that's going to be the conversation between me and coach. Work on your shot. Everything else, you're fine with it. So, I mean, and it's been that way for the last 3 years. Every time we've had a meeting, it's you got to get to 35%. You got like the first year it was get to 32, right? Next year it was get to 35. Not where I want to be. Not happy at all. Under 29% is not good. So, I mean, it's probably going to be the same conversation we've had for the last 3 years. Probably a little different with captain stuff and whatever, like the new recruits we get and stuff like that, and what additions and adjustments we should make. But I think the only thing he can really tell me to work on is shooting.
So I'm not going to make an assumption here. I think I'm right, but like the label gym rat wouldn't bother you, right? If somebody called, like you love just to play ball, right? You play.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the question. We didn't get to ask Gabe this. Ryan probably be too, out there for this. But back in my day, we were all wondering here on the Ball Habatim, like back in my day, the team played Thursday night ball, they played Saturday night ball, they played pickup, right? There was a culture, right? And even some of the, the yeshiva guys who never, who finally got off, or come out of shear or whatever, there were always some great ballers there that didn't play until Thursday night or Saturday night or come off. Does the team go out and ever play pickup, or now it's sort of because of where the team's at, you're really only playing against, in yourselves or practices, or as you mentioned, back home with sort of the talent level, or is there ever sort of like a pickup ball culture, from a team standpoint?
So I mean, at the beginning of the year, yes, just because we're trying to get that gel together and we're trying to get the chemistry down. During the season, it's you don't see it just because we're playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then you have practice Sunday, and then Monday you might have practice, you might have off, you don't know. So it's just like during the season we really don't, unless it's within practice. After the season, it's kind of just whoever's at the gym, we'll play with the guys at YU. They love it. The guys at YU, they love when we play with them. So it's just we go in there, and I mean, just last week, me, Ryan, and Jordan were all playing against each other. So it's good competition. Like I love it.
I always get worried because like sometimes when you play against like, right, sometimes it's the fun, right? Like, oh my God, these guys are playing, we're just gonna have fun. But then you get like, the one dude who feels like he has to like show up, right, and show off. And then it's like, and then I get worried about people getting injured, right? People going too extra hard, people pushing when you get to the basket. Like, hopefully it gets civil, but do you ever run into sort of that, mentality? It's like, I got to prove that I'm as good as these guys.
Yeah, everybody wants their Kodak moment. So you'll always get that one guy in there who's going a little too hard.
Like, always. Cool. This is awesome. I think we have a couple questions that we want to get to. Bob always focused on IW. He first he asked, when are you declaring for the draft? He wants to know when that's coming. Hopefully not before this season because we're all looking forward to it. But he also asked, listen, IW, right? It was a home, right? A sort of a 2-year set. You guys are going out there. What do you think about that? I mean, obviously you watched the game, you saw that stadium, you saw the atmosphere out there, even in a losing effort. What do you think about sort of the road trip out there and what you're expecting next year, especially after, the Titans coming and defeating YU and stopping the big win streak in our place?
I love it. I love it. Going out to, beautiful, beautiful gym, arena, and playing in front of, even watching that, whatever, it might have been split 50-50 between Wesleyan fans and Wabash fans. It's a crazy gym to play in. Like, it's a beautiful gym to play in. Obviously you got the revenge game. So, the guys who are here, and it's going to be a fun game. I think to start, I don't know if we're starting the season off with that first game, but if that's the first game of the season, it's going to be a great. I'm in love.
It's pretty close. We're talking about mid-November, right? So it's going to be pretty close to an opening of the season. I think we're gonna, Wabash probably showed us from a fan standpoint of how we have to pack the gym. So the Ball Habatim will be working on making sure that we have fans out there, and maybe it'll be before Ryan and the Bull plays the Bulls that night, so he'll be able to come out that and we'll get a whole we'll look at retinue out there to watch in November, which might be hopefully nice weather, but maybe a little cold out in Bloomington. We'll see how it goes. But that's what else are you, I guess, looking forward to as you think about sort of the off season? Do you ever have like time? You have off basketball? Are you going back home, family time as well? Like just chill time?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now it's kind of tough because just break wise, it's not, we have pooling right now. We have school tomorrow. We have Jude classes, and then we're off till Monday. So, and right now it's spring break for every other college. So it's kind of flights are $800. It's not so it's kind of too much. So, Pesach, I'm going to Atlanta, and then we're going to go to the Dominican Republic, meet family, friends in Atlanta, and then family from Israel's coming in, and then we're going to go on vacation for a bit. So just spend some time there. I try to go home at least 3-4 times a year. Sometimes it ends up being twice just because of how season's going and how my schedule is. So right now I've been home, I want to say once this year, like throughout this whole school year.
When you took the picture with Bob.
Yeah, I took the picture with Bob.
Listen, we had the pleasure and the privilege of meeting your father at a number of the games. It was unreal. I mean, it's just an incredible man. And so we appreciate, again, like we've said to all the teams, one of the things that blows us away, again, having family, even though I've called my parents and asked them why, I don't think they show up to a single one of my games now. So we have some family issues now, but this team and the way family showed up and showed out constantly over and over again before the streak, all this stuff. And what did that mean to you guys to see sort of like that family section behind the bench, basically there and packed, game in, game out?
It's amazing, and I think it starts with the guys who were here before me, before Ryan, and just having people come and show up to the games when they weren't that good, and creating that culture for fans and parents. Parents were going to show up either way, but just being able to see my dad sitting behind the bench, and having a few words with him during the game, it's nice to have because, majority of the games he watches at home, back home in Dallas. So it's kind of tough. And, being able to see my parents whenever they're here, and I can't go home for a while, it's nice to be able to see family.
That's awesome. I have a couple rapid fire questions. Jakob, you have anything else?
I also have a couple rapid fire. So
awesome. We're gonna put you under fire. Go. We'll alternate. You start us off, Jakob.
All right. Do we want to let's start off with an easy one. What are you dressing up as for Purim?
It's a tough one. I haven't decided yet. Decided
all
yet.
right.
I might go bald and dress up as Coach.
Please.
I think that would get a lot.
Pictures,
yes,
please.
that would get a lot of likes around the campus.
Or Mr. Q. Maybe I'll go Bob.
So Bob is good. I am dressing up. By the way, I'm dressing up as Pool C. So I'll be dressing up as Pool C for Purim. It's going to be awesome. My question: what's the favorite flavor of Hamantashen? Chocolate. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Coming out of the woodwork. You didn't say poppy, so I'm okay. But
all
chocolate.
Right. So you didn't
I like
go with,
it.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
On keeping with the food theme, what is your favorite restaurant, kosher restaurant in the Heights? And why? All
right, Burgers and Grill, and this goes back to freshman year with Ryan. Go-to spot after our 1 a.m. workouts. There's great selection of food there.
So here's my question. Do they basically just open 24/7 for max players? Like 6 a.m. practice, you guys finish and you have like pastrami and eggs. Like what is it? Is it open all the time?
No. So after practice, we go to Grandma's.
Very nice. You had someone, I mean, I want to give a shout because I think this is right, but I'm pretty sure that there's the gentleman, I'm sorry I don't know his name, but he sort of helps in not practice, but shoot around before the games. And then I go to Burgers and Grill after the game and I see him there working behind the counter. Who is that? He's like he's sort of dishing you guys shots.
Akiva Komornik.
All right, shouts to Akiva. He's been he works. That man works. I always have a soft spot for guys who really like pull double duty, work jobs. I remember I worked Morgue Mart and the calf store and all this stuff. After 7, we had practice at night, 7:30 to 10, and then we worked the 10 o'clock to 2 a.m. shift at Morgue Mart. The trick, by the way, is to put hot dogs on at like 1:45, and then be like, "Oops, nobody came to buy them," and then you have 6 hot dogs that you have to, you just have to get rid of. So that was always the Morgue Mart trick right there. Sarachek. My question to you: will we see you at Sarachek? You mentioned come and say hi. Will you take in a game? You'll sit like. Will you guys? Will the team come down? Will you be down there?
I will be there. I will be at Sarachek.
Celebrity.
I gotta support my boys.
So you got Yavna, we got Valley Torah obviously coming, for a couple of the guys. It's gonna be fun. I never really thought about that. I mean, when I was playing, everybody was Israeli, so there was no Sarachek. There was no Sarachek presence. So, but it's gonna be pretty cool actually to come and see, your high school in some cases, as you mentioned, see your coach, and sort of people that you were there with.
Will there be any side bets made if any of your teams play each other?
No
it
comment.
may already be made.
No comment.
Okay, what's with? I think Yavna was ranked 21. What's with that? Are we gonna take issue with Poppers?
They're not 21.
No, what do they rank this time? Sorry, I was looking.
16, 17.
I think Barron was 21. My bad.
No, all good. So there's only like 3 Jewish schools in Texas. So.
It's always the New York bias. The New York bias in the rankings is always history.
Listen,
forever.
they play Frisch first round. Like I'm with my boys. They're beating Frisch.
All right, you heard it here first.
All right, yes.
Frisch, watch out. We are actually rooting. We have got into. There's a D1 player. I think who's a brother of a Frisch player, Max Zackheim. Who's Zackheim? So Zackheim's going to be on Bryant, who I believe is playing tomorrow night. As part of the first 4. So shouts to any of the all D1 Jewish hoopsters who are there. But we'll be looking out. Hopefully there won't be a crazy fight like there was in Brian Flatt's game. But hopefully everything will work out well. Oh, shouts to Matt Snyder hanging out in the chat. He said YU will destroy IW next season. Obviously, that is coming from the stats. It's already there. I love that these guys go after each other. I know, with Calvin and IW out, this is the focus now. For the rest of the season, will be on Yeshiva's next year schedule. All right, I really can't thank you enough. I don't know, Yaakov, if you have anything else for Ofek before we let him go. But I want to hear for you, what is your, and you talked a little bit about it before, what's the recruiting pitch? You got someone watching, right? You got these kids out there, you got these ballers, they're listening. What is the pitch about sort of why you is the place to be, right? Why is it the choice for them?
I'm not gonna say much. I'm just gonna. It's really just the environment of being able to play in front of Jewish people, and not just the community that we have surrounding yeshiva. It's a whole faith. We're playing for every Jewish person, religious or not. It doesn't matter. Like people from Israel are texting me that I don't know. So it's just being able to play for a people. It's a great feeling.
It's tremendous. Listen, we are so happy. We are so happy you are part of the people, and we're incredibly grateful again for the time. Hope we didn't make you too late to shoot around.
No,
I'm sure curfew is pretty soon. I'm sure you won't stay up to the wee hours, but appreciate it. Good luck. We won't talk about the bracket pools, but good luck in anything and everything that comes in the Sarachek pool. We'll make sure that gets out there, and we'll get those side bets going. But really, really, really appreciate the time. And we hope to talk to you again real soon. Don't be a stranger. We're gonna talk Max season preview. We're gonna have some exciting things, I'm sure, coming up. And we just, again, a perennial fan favorite now and honestly forever. This team will live in legacy. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome night. Chag Purim Sameach.
Chag Sameach.
And we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Peace. Ofek, amazing.
Thank you.
We love it. Yaakov, always a pleasure to have Ofek on.
Yes,
we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to banter a little bit about D1. Ofek, you're welcome to stick around, but we're going to talk a little D1, a little D3.
Listen, the only thing I'm going to say before I leave, because I told Ryan Boker that I'd shoot around with him, Gonzaga wins it all. Drew Timmy's my boy. Gonzaga wins it all.
Gonzaga, not even Holmgren. Drew Timmy.
I play with Timmy over the summers.
Wow.
Is he a Texas
dude,
guy?
Man.
He's a Texas guy, yeah.
He's a Texas guy.
He's a Texas guy and a Gingy, I believe.
Yeah. Nice stash, too.
A nice stash. That dude is big, so I understand. Again, you hair guys stick together, so I guess it makes a lot of sense. Well, you heard it here first. You heard Yavne winning Sarachek, downing Frisch in the first game, and you heard Gonzaga. So everyone making their bracket picks right here. Ofek knows basketball.
Don't quote me. I'm just going with what I think.
Just going with those. Drew Timmy, MVP, MOP of the tournament. Awesome. Thank you again, Ofek. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you again so much for Ofek, and thank you for the patience of hanging out with us while we had some audio difficulties. Thanks again to the fan base talking. We'll just talk a little bit. We'll wrap it up. We were talking about, and Yaakov, I don't know if you had the pleasure of watching the Elite Eight games. I know we missed most of the Friday games outside of the Marietta destruction of Stockton, but we missed most of the Sweet 16 games. But got to see a bunch of the Elite Eight games. I don't know if you have any thoughts in terms of what's happening and what's going to happen for the Final Four that's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, with my very, very limited knowledge here. The four teams that are there are both four very good teams. There wasn't so many upsets in general, but along the way, a couple here or there. But definitely the teams that made it are probably deserving. I think IW probably has just as much talent as some of these teams. I think Randolph-Macon's going to win it all. Their box scores are wild right now. That this is the tournament. They're supposed to be challenged. I think their closest game is 20 points, 18 points.
And I think a 16 point win in round two. I'm not sure it was that close, but it was it was the closest game so far. I think 23-point victories in the Sweet 16 and in the Elite Eight against really good teams.
Good teams. Yeah. So that's my thoughts. Seems like it seems like they might have been the favorites 2 years ago. I don't know exactly. I know when we were gunning up to play them, there was there was a lot of talk that they might be the best in the country. I know most of their guys are back, or if not all of them are back. So it seems sort of like one of those 2-year COVID odysseys that they're finally going to get that chance. But they're playing a good team also.
Oh, it would mean I think, just sitting there, trying to put yourself in their shoes, for a second in terms of where they were 2 years ago, right? And sort of being back, and getting now to the Final Four. It's so great. I know that on our preview episode, a lot of talk, right? A lot of talk, from collectively from the panel, really thought Randolph-Macon was the team to beat in this tournament. I will go back and say again, there's this guy Luke, this guy Ellis, these guys Krieger. I mean, the Marietta team. This is like one of those tournament years. I know we had that in D1 again. A lot of years where you're like, it's the semifinal game that looks like the final game.
Yeah.
Meaning you feel like whoever wins the Marietta Randolph-Macon game is the team that's going to take it. But I said it on Twitter, and I'm going to stick with it. And not just because it's the CCIW, our sister conference now. But Jake Rohde, man, is my ride or die. I mean, that I don't know if people have had the pleasure of watching Jake Rohde from Elmhurst. There are shots that I have no idea how he gets these shots off. I mean, the guy is just a baller. Like in the most classics. I mean, his passing is incredible. I mean, he's just a great guard. He shoots.
He's a shot maker. That's it. Some guys are just shot makers.
And he's unreal. He had a layup. I mean, listen, there were both shots and sloppy play all over the place in their game against Mary Hardin Baylor. But he made a shot where I believe he took the shot from his ankles while in the air. And just again the layups that he gets off. So I'm really excited to see Elmhurst. I know obviously Wabash has Jack Davidson, who is likely, I hate to say this, but likely the player of the year, if not top 3 worst. I mean, I don't know how you put him any worse. That the dude's unreal. I do expect the rest of the team to come a little down to earth, but they've been playing that way for quite a while. And that fan base travels. So you never know what can happen in the championship game, but it really does feel like the Marietta Randolph-Macon game is sort of the crowning. Whoever wins that game is going to be crowned the champion. I believe there's also an all-star game that takes place, so that's pretty cool. I don't know if that is broadcast. I believe CBS Sports, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, that CBS Sports is actually broadcasting the Final Fours for D3. So in the chat, if someone can either confirm or correct me if I'm wrong.
That's pretty cool, actually.
It's on national television, which is amazing. I mean, I think
that's awesome.
The more people can see this. I don't know. I really hope that they're broadcasting the women's championship too, the women's Final Four. The teams that are there are amazing. I hope again, I hope to me is the team to beat. They've been the team to beat all season long, and I'd be shocked if they don't take it. But there's some really great teams playing really great basketball there too. So hopefully people get to watch that. Let's talk just a little bit because it is tourney time.
A little bit, yes.
We're gonna, tonight, obviously we have some appetizers. I am firmly in denial that the first 4 exists. I hate it. I love the idea of extending playoffs and extending these things. I still don't like it, and the reason I don't like it is actually not. I'm pro. I think it should be all bubble teams. If you can do the first 4, all bubble teams. Give me 8, 11, 12 seats and play it. But I hate the idea of making teams like Corpus Christi, like Bryant. I hate the idea of making those guys play when they just won their conference tournament. I think it's incredibly unfair, and they should get their 1/16 matchup again, regardless of how lopsided it is. But they should get that experience. I'm sure playing in a first 4 game is special, but to me, it really robs those student athletes of an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, it also that 16 versus 16 game is not really, you got to be really, really devoted or care about that school to be interested. Where if we got some of these good bubble teams that everyone knows, a lot more interesting. The Indiana game, I mean, they're playing. I don't know, they're not playing a great team either, but you get a couple of these guys in there that are interesting, maybe. Right. But I'm still 64. Announce it on Sunday. Be done. Work on the brackets, but it's not going away. It's just they're going to add more, if anything. So.
So I completely agree with you. Listen, the fan bases are there. I think the one thing it does, and we've seen this happen a couple times, is the one thing it does both for the 11, 12 seats like in Indiana, Wyoming, and for the 16s. Although again with the competition they're playing, they tend to be they tend to be in the game at the beginning of their next round game. So the team that does end up winning, again, they feel they typically feel a little bit more comfortable, unless they drag it out, overtime win. They typically feel looser, and sometimes you see them start the game off a little bit better. So for that reason too, I don't like it, because it gives to me an unfair advantage to a team that played a couple of days before, even though they're a lower seed. These 5-12 matchups, to me, no one's shocked anymore. No one's shocked
No,
that 12 seed beats a 5 seed.
That's so 10 years ago at this point.
So which game, is there any game, and maybe I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any game or matchup that or potential matchup that you might be looking forward to in terms of taking a look at? I'll give you a little bit of time.
Give me 1 minute
a little bit of time.
to bring up my bracket here.
I'm a homer, so in D1, so I will talk about UCLA for a second. Obviously surprising people with the incredible run they put on. I know the numbers likes them. I think they're 11th or close to that in the Massey. If they get to play that second round matchup, if it holds chalk, if they beat Akron, it'll be St. Mary's UCLA, and I'm really looking forward to that game. I love watching St. Mary's play. I think they play a tremendous brand of basketball. Again, they had a great win, double digits, I believe, against Gonzaga towards the end of the season. Obviously, it went the other way in the tournament, but they're an incredible team to watch, and I would look forward in the first round, at least, to that UCLA St. Mary's game. Is there anything jumping out at you?
First round games. I mean, we had a bad end of the season, but I do have my shirt on for Seton Hall here. That is where I went to law school, so it's my second rooting interest. Unfortunately, I missed the glory days, but they have a tough first round matchup, but they haven't been playing so well of recent. I'm looking here.
Listen, the Big East always, right, is a tough out. Again, they defend usually better than a lot of teams that are in there.
North Carolina Marquette is an interesting game.
North Carolina Baylor, by the way, if North Carolina can get by, they've had some really good matchups. Baylor is a fantastic team, but there could be some, if you're looking for an 8-1 upset, that's the only one I really see. I mean, again, it's hard for me to see many teams, and I don't know if anybody who's still watching wants to shout out. I know we're not talking D3, but if the UNC Baylor match, if you're looking for an 8 seed to win, I don't know how anybody beats Gonzaga or Arizona in the first couple rounds. Obviously, it can happen, and we've seen it happen before. But I don't know who's going to match up with them until you really get to the Elite Eight game. You may have some of the 2 or 3 seeds, or maybe a surprise team doing it.
In the second round, again, obviously, assuming that Duke wins their first round game, they're either looking at Michigan State or Davidson, which would be very interesting opponents for a potential Coach K final game, which every game at this point is Coach K's final game. So that'll be interesting. I'm not a believer.
You can see Izzo outing Coach K.
I know.
In his final game. That would be something special.
I'm not a believer in this Duke team, although their star player is going to be really good in the NBA.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. That's about it. Hey, look, it looks, you want to pick a lot of chalk. But having sort of ramped up in the past month watching these games, every team is really beatable. It's a wide open year.
Well, that's how it starts. It's been that way now for
a couple
a
years
while.
in a row. Yeah.
Although I don't believe, if I remember correctly, I don't think there were a ton of upsets in the first couple rounds, or at least in the first round last year. I think it was relatively sort of upset. I think there were 9 higher seeds that beat lower seeds, but they weren't really the big matchups. Or I may be thinking back to 2 years ago. But either way, this is going to be fun, right? I think the one thing we love about March Madness, and I'll say the same thing, by the way, against D3, the D3 games I watch, like you will, it never disappoints.
No,
you never go through the day and be like, wow, I really should have worked instead of this, or I really should have, we got special, it's a triple header on Thursday.
Yes,
right?
It's a big day.
We got Purim. If anybody's watching and doesn't know what that is, the holiday that we're celebrating on Wednesday night, tomorrow night into Thursday. So Purim, we got the tournament, and we got St. Patrick's Day for all those who are celebrating that. So it's if you were walking in the city, I think 95% of people would be intoxicated. So it is
any city for that matter.
Any city for that
any
matter.
City of that matter.
That's true. But I do. I'm a big fan of New York City on St. Patty's Day specifically, and then add in Purim and March Madness, and it's going to be incredible. So great lineup. We're sitting here Tuesday night. Yaakov, is a pleasure as always. Who's is that? John LeClaire? Who we got back there?
Oh wow, that's a good pull over there.
Is that? Are you? Is that a?
That is a Team USA John LeClaire jersey.
Very cool. Is there a story there, or just a big fan?
He was my favorite Flyer growing up. I'm a Flyers fan. It's a signed Team USA jersey that we got framed. That was, if you remember, that they had that. I don't know how big of a hockey fan you were growing up, but they had that World Cup in 1996 where they beat Canada.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was he was on that team.
Wow, I love the. That pre-professional or no? This is when they started using the Salt Lake City.
So the World Cup, they did the World Cup because they still weren't going to the Olympics. But then the next round was '98. They went to the Olympics. That was the first year, which did not go so well for the U.S. But then Salt Lake City was the silver.
Home crowd.
Yeah.
Want to plug as we wrap up. As always, please subscribe and like, whether you're watching this, live or whether you're watching it on repeat. Please again subscribe. Enjoy. Have a Chag Sameach. I want to make a big shout out. Mayor, thank you. Obviously, we want to make a big shout out to Mayor, who's incredible, and we love him here. I don't even know what the 1s and 2s are, but I'll say thank you for being on them. But he reminded me not just to talk about us, but Kay Logan, guys. I mean, everyone listening here, everyone who shared, really give yourselves an incredible round of applause. Like we talked about, it's one thing to talk about things that are good. It's one thing to watch things that are good. It's one thing to have this camaraderie, but the opportunity to do good things, really is outweighs everything else. And he's telling me that since we plugged and we talked about and donated to Kay's GoFundMe, again, that's our pinned tweet. You can see that on the Ball Habatim at Twitter, if you're looking for the link. But over 4,000 donated, $4,000 donated since last Monday. So again, this, as much as I'll pitch and plea for more charity, for more generosity of spirit, I can't help but just thank the entire community really for coming out in support of an incredible person, incredible cause, and incredible family. And thank you. So with that, we will wrap up. Chag Purim Sameach, everyone. Again, a reminder, share your costumes, kids, anybody, whether it's Max costumes, otherwise, again, it's always a celebration, but definitely the Max costumes. Definitely if you're dressing up as the Q, if you're dressing up as a Massey Index, whatever that looks like, if you're dressing up as Pool C, which I still got to figure out how that's going to work out, but I definitely going for it. Please share the pictures back with us. That's the celebration of the community. The community is what we're all about. D3 Hoops and the Max Nation are a community that we are incredibly proud of.
Next week, Sarachek,
24th.
Next week.
I don't know if I say yay or nay to adults taking off for Sarachek. I'm still not sure. I know I saw the schedule. I think the first game is at 10 a.m. But listen, if you're going to take off for the brackets, Purim, obviously you're going to be off. So if you can pull another Thursday, take it.
And we had the Poppers opening show, and then we got that's what Max Live
is. It the Poppers farewell tour? Is that what we're going to get to?
I heard he's petitioning for an extra year
of eligibility. If anyone should get it, it's Poppers.
He's using Ryan's unused season.
Unused season. Well, I thought Poppers was declared for the draft today. I really did. I don't know why I felt that. I think it was his defense on him in that famed one-on-one that they played before the IWU game. That really, like, if Ryan can do it, like, Popper shut him down, so he should be able to do it too. But really, Max Live is going to be tremendous. And really shout out to all the parents and fans and everyone who won't be able to be there with their teams. There's something incredibly special about having 24 Jewish basketball teams, right, and fan bases just excited about high school basketball. It's an incredible, having played in Sarachek. I just remember how cool it was to see other kids. I was coming, we weren't here in New York. I was coming from Miami, and just seeing other kids. We didn't really get to play. We played, Christian schools and other schools, again, denomination, non-denomination, but we really only had one other Jewish school. And then suddenly we were there at that time, 16, 18 other Jewish schools. It was tremendous. So I relish the opportunity. If you get to see it, enjoy it. I think it's, again, it's completely souped up. We didn't have Max Live back then. Max Live does an incredible job. The games are incredibly called. I believe, I don't even know how many locations they have, because now with 24 teams, there's no way it can all be at YU. I know they use the TABC gym and other gyms in the past, and then Tier 3 and all these other pieces. Make sure to make reservations at your neighborhood restaurants, because sometimes these kids will eat the whole restaurant out of food after the games. It's going to be enjoyable. Sarachek is awesome. It's really going to be an incredible week of Chagim and basketball, and we'll meet back here. Hopefully we'll be doing a Sarachek preview, so trying to get some, if you know anybody, I know we're going to be talking hopefully to folks either from J Hoops America or others, but if you have some folks, or if you're listening and know some folks who really follow Jewish high school basketball, we'd love to have them on. We'd love to talk to them about what they see coming up all throughout the tournament. So thank you again, Yaakov. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tremendous episode as always. Have an easy fast tomorrow into a wonderful Chag for you and yours. And goodbye to everyone out there. Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach.